We're ready.
Hello, this is State Representative Rob Martwick, and I'm here standing in the gallery of the Illinois House of Representatives. And today I'm here to talk to you about the governor's State of the State address. So yesterday, the president delivered his first State of the Union address. Today, Governor Rauner delivered his fourth State of the State address. And it's interesting the trend that this has become, these state addresses. They're designed to give us an update on where our executives think that our government is and lay out a path for the future for where we think we need to go. But something has changed. These speeches seem to have lost any basis in reality. There are claims made and boasts made that have nothing to do with the actual fact. And, well, let's just say Governor Rauner didn't disappoint on that front today. As many of you know, Governor Rauner has spent the last 3 years putting the state into a situation of financial crisis that well exceeded anything that preceded him coming into office. There's no doubt Illinois had its financial troubles, but under the Quinn administration, we had been working towards solving those. We had paid down our bills to a manageable level so that bills were being paid on a timely basis on a 30-day billing cycle. We were not accruing additional interest on that. Under Governor Rauner, our debts have ballooned to $16 billion. We're forced to pay 12% per year on those bills, $1 billion a year in service just on the backlog of bills. That's what it's costing the state of Illinois. Complete and total fiscal irresponsibility. Not only to mention the fact that everything else that has related to the state of Illinois has gone out of control under Governor Rauner, despite the fact that we had a massive tax decrease the moment he took office. So he has really had a failed 3 years. And so as he came here, you think he would come to the chamber here with some humility about his challenges, the failures, and lay out a path that would go forward. Instead, he doubled down on broken promises that he's made in the past and bragged about things that he didn't actually accomplish. So let me give you an example. At one point of his speech, he said, "It's time to do what the people of Illinois want." And here's something we agree. Number one, halt the advance of taxes. Number two, stop spending money we don't have. Number three, get our pensions under control. And number four, give power back to the people. Well, on that that 4-point list, I agree 100%. I think we need to halt the advance of taxes. We need to stop spending money we don't have. We need to get our pensions under control, and we have to give power back to the people. The funny thing is the governor hasn't done any of those things. Let me give you an example, right? There's an old saying about Democrats. They called us tax and spend Democrats. But there was something that changed in the last 20 years about Republicans. We started calling them don't tax and spend Republicans, meaning they no longer cared about the actual whether or not your balance is actually budgeted. They just wanted to spend the money, but they didn't actually want to collect the taxes to pay for it. Well, that's been the case here under Governor Rauner. So he came here and he bragged about vetoing the tax increase that we passed in a bipartisan fashion that finally balanced our budget after 2.5 years. And at the same time that he bragged about vetoing the tax increase, he bragged about increasing funding for education by $1.2 billion. Well, how can you brag about spending $1.2 billion more than what we were spending on something before, and at the same time say we need to collect $5 billion less in taxes? That's a $6.2 billion spread. And it's no wonder that we accumulated $16 billion of unpaid bills that you and I and every taxpayer in this state are going to have to pay back. Fiscal irresponsibility. He has been the most fiscally irresponsible governor in the history of the state of Illinois. And trust me, I know that's a big statement because we've had some pretty fiscally irresponsible governors. He bragged about a lot of things that were really not based in reality. Recently, we had an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease that killed 13 people, 13 veterans at our state veterans home in Quincy, Illinois. He bragged about his response to it when all of the criticism is shown that his response was not timely, it did not do things the right way, they didn't let the family members know about it. These people had died and their family members weren't even made aware of it timely. It has been a disaster. He came in and bragged about the way that he handled it. Again, not based in reality, certainly not based in fact. I think one of the most interesting things about today's speech was at the moment when Governor Rauner bragged about introducing a balanced budget. And that was interesting and certainly enjoyable because it brought down a rain of laughter in this chamber, I think from both Democrats and Republicans. For 3 years, he has produced budgets that are billions of dollars out of balance, and then he blames the legislature for not passing those out of balance budgets. Again, we can't be fiscally responsible if we're not being honest about what the numbers are. So he says, stop spending money we don't have, and yet he vetoes a bill that would create the revenues to pay for the projects he wants to spend on, but then he brags about spending them on them anyway. He says, get our pensions under control, and yet he has produced nothing to help rein in the cost of pensions. He says, give power back to the people, and yet he still continues to double down on a promise of enacting term limits. And I invite you to watch the video that I did on term limits. Term limits only take power away from the people, and they put the power in the hands of the people who have the biggest checkbooks, like Governor Rauner. And so that's the biggest bait and switch I've ever seen in my life. Pass term limits. Not a good idea at all. So he continues to brag about things that he wants to do. He's unable to accomplish anything that is of positive benefit for Illinois, and yet we have seen our economy drain and drain and drain. And so we need a constructive path forward. Thankfully, there are a number of candidates running for governor under the Democratic ticket, and all of them have proposed plans that I think would be far better than what this governor has given us over the last 3 years. Personally, I like J.B. Pritzker and the things that he brings because he talks about really the most constructive ways to grow our economy. And the way to grow our economy is to get our financial house in order. And that's not going to happen with magic dust and bad speeches. That's only going to happen when we accept the realities of our debts, of our problems, we find financial solutions to those, and we put the state back on a path that takes it forward. And I think J.B. Pritzker has a good handle on that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm supporting him. I personally have filed a number of bills that I think give the state options to move the state forward. I believe it is time for us to move to a progressive income tax. I think we could use that money to offset property taxes, making our taxing and spending structure more in line with our neighboring states. We could capture growth where there has been growth in the economy with the wealthiest people in our state. We could use that revenue to invest in education, provide the equity that we promised but we haven't delivered because we haven't invested in education, pay down our pension debts, get out from underneath that weight on our shoulders, and then allow our economy to grow. If we can reduce property taxes by reducing the burden of funding education on property taxes, by doing a progressive income tax, that will help every single business in the state because every business pays property taxes. Whether they own the property or they rent it, they're responsible for paying the taxes. That would be the biggest cut in expenses to every business in the state, and that would help spur our economy. We can do those sorts of things if we're honest with the people about the nature of our problems and we have concrete plans to move forward. I've been doing that for the last 5 years. I hope I can continue doing it for the next few years after this. Together we can make a better state in the state of Illinois, but we have to be honest about those. We have to have straight talk, and we have to adopt common sense solutions. So I'm Rob Martwick, State Representative. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, as always, if you have comments, criticisms, complaints, ideas, please leave them here on Facebook. You can reach out to me through Facebook Messenger. You can reach out to me, my email, repmartwick@gmail.com, or you can find me at repmartwick.com robmartwick.com. You can find me at any of those places. You can call me at my office, 773-286-1115. I look forward to talking to you, and together we'll make this state a better place. Thanks.